Hey guys, Deb here with Lake House Soapery, and I'm going to do a voiceover on my video today. When I started to make this video, I was so nervous, and I'll tell you the reason is because this is the largest batch of soap that I have ever made. My dad made me a new mold, and I'll insert a picture of that so you can see it, and I was so excited to get to use it. But it was a lot of soap. So here I am trying to mix in the lye water. I wasn't even sure that my stick blender was going to be okay for this batch of soap because of how deep the pot was, but it was fine. You can see there that it was pretty close to the top of the stick blender, but it ended up working out okay. So, and I know if I need a bigger container, I'm going to have to go shorter, not taller. Alright, so I've got this at a pretty thin trace, and I'm getting ready to split the batter off and put my colorants in. I am using just two colors. The primary color is going to be just titanium dioxide white, and then the secondary color is going to be Caribbean Blue, Crafter's Choice Wholesale Supply Plus, and the fragrance of the soap is going to be Gain Fragrance Oil by Wholesale Supply Plus. So I'm getting ready to split the batch and get these colored up. And I've already got some of that colorant pre-mixed. I used some of the oils from the batter before I added the lye water to put that Caribbean Blue in. So here I am just pouring a heaping portion of that off, and we'll get it mixed pretty easily because it's already been kind of pre-dispersed in that oil. Usually stirs out really well, no lumps and bumps in it. Okay, now next for the titanium dioxide to color the rest of the batter. Here I am spooning in titanium dioxide. If you remember, I said this was one of the largest batches, not one of them. This is the largest batch I've ever done. So I really wasn't really sure how much titanium dioxide to actually use in this batter. Most of my batters are like, I don't know, 5 pound is the largest before this one. So I'm used to adding things in little bits, little bits. And I added this first amount of titanium dioxide and realized this was not going to be enough. So I continued to chuck it in until I got to my desired color. And because I added so much of the TD in, I did end up with a little bit of some glycerin rivers in the soap bars, but it really didn't take away at all from the final result. So I was pretty happy with that in the end, but it took me a minute to get to the desired color. So now for the fragrance oil. Again, this is Gain by Crafter's Choice Wholesale Supply Plus. I love the fresh scent of this. The name of the soap is called Yacht Club, which is a country club here around the lake that you can have membership to. Um, we don't yet. We're considering it, but it's a really fun place to go. And when you think of the yacht club and a sailboat, you just think of the crisp, clean sails and the blue skies. And that's kind of the inspiration behind the colors of these soaps. So um, that's just what it represents in my mind. And it's one of my best sellers, I think, because of the crisp colors and the lovely fragrance that comes along with that clean Gain scent. And there I am adding more TD because, like I said, I just couldn't get the color as bright white as I wanted it. Alright, so I'm bringing in my mold here. My dad made this for me. I am so proud of it. Um, I think I might name it after my dad and call it the Big John because I think it would be a perfect name for this mold. So I lined the mold. I used the tutorial from Katie over at Royalty Soaps. She takes the time to explain how to line the mold. I had struggled with it. I figured it out watching her tutorial a couple of times, so it made lining the mold a lot easier for my first time in a wood mold without a silicone liner, so that was fun. Alright, so here we go with the white. It was so heavy trying to get it in here, so pouring in the white, scraping out the container, and getting as much of that in there as I could. Um, yeah, awkward to work with a container this large. So I get it in the mold, and I don't know if you saw the handles on either end of the mold. Amazing. That was able to let me lift it up easily and whack it down. And then here I am just doing some texturizing on the top of the soap for some interest when I go to add the blue colorant to that. Alright, here we go with the blue, and yep, I was kind of nervous about this too, because everything started to thicken up. I had fiddled around so long with everything, so I had to give it a quick stir and add the fragrance oil in to get it loosened up and get it ready to go on top of the white. Alright, so I've got it all loosened up again, but you can see the bottom was set up. Normally when I make this, the white is a little bit more fluid and I can get some of the swirl to drop down into the white, but on this particular day, that was not going to work. So I did the best I could. Thankfully, I had put some texturizing in there, so at least I would have a little bit of interest between the two colors. So scraping, scraping, and in just a minute, yep, there it is. You can see I get to use the handles again on the Big John mold and whack it down to get that all evened out so I can make a decision on what to do with the top of it. I left this part in just so you can see that the struggle is indeed real. I wanted to pipe the top of the soap, which I normally do for this, and I do it something like I'm doing here. Sometimes I make it a little wavier. But the problem started when I didn't grab a big enough piping bag. I thought I had one and I didn't. And the batter was a little runny, and I changed my mind on how I wanted the piping to look, and it all went downhill from there. When I got done piping this top, it was a hot mess. I'll cut to the end of it so you can kind of see what it looked like, and then you'll see what I did to change my mind, which we have the right to do, to change our mind. So I'm going along, and I'm realizing with horror that I don't have enough piping to finish the top the way that I was going. I didn't even like the way that was going, and now I don't have enough piping to finish it. So, what to do? Well, there it is. I grabbed my spatula and just smushed it all around, and I've used the technique that you're going to see here in a minute before, and it's actually not bad, and I wanted the top of it to kind of look wavy, so after smoothing it down I kind of used this hashy motion with the edge of the spatula, and you'll see in a second it starts to bring up some of the blue, which I really like on the top of it. So I just kind of went ahead and did that and did the little kind of hashy, splashy motion with the spatula to bring some of that colorant up to the top. In the end, I didn't mind the way that it turned out. So after I got done with all of that, here's how it looked in the end. I ended up leaving it just like that. You know how it is, you just can't leave it alone. But this is how it ended up turning out. And like I said, I ended up liking it. It worked out really well. Oh yeah, I was trying to splatter a little more blue colorant on there. Alright, so fast forward to the next day, and I'm going to try to use my new loaf splitter for the very first time. Because if you make big slab molds, you got to have a way to trim your uh, big slabs into loaves. So, never used one. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out where I needed to set the wire to get the right cut. And again, super nervous. It was sliding around, trying to hold on to it, trying to push the bar of soap through. Um, Usually with the recipe that I use, it's a pretty solid bar when I unmold it the next day. Um, but I was just nervous about pushing it through, and nervous about trying to keep it straight. I'm like, is it gonna like wiggle around and cause it to be uneven, or I don't know what I was thinking. But I was super nervous and trying to film it, which always makes me more nervous anyway. But you can see here I kind of stop and start and stop and start. Um, in the end, I get it all the way through here, and then I'll move it in just a second and show you. Because of my hesitation with pushing it through there, it did end up leaving a little bit of some inconsistent pieces on the end of the loaf, but I'll show you that here in just a second. So separating it, and ta-da, there it is. I end up with two nice loaves, but you can see on one of them it's kind of wavy on the end there. Alright, so yay, I got my soap cutter out and I'm getting ready to cut everything down into bars. I was super excited. This was the first official cuts from the Big John loaf mold. So it was really fun. This was really satisfying to cut this up, knowing that I was successful-ish. I think they turned out pretty nice. And I was able to get these cut down into my 1-inch bar sizes. And I won't bore you with the entire cut because they all look pretty similar. But I think I ended up with, I don't know, I think it was like 40-ish bars when I ended up getting both of the loaves cut into 1-inch bars. So I was extremely pleased with that. That was the whole goal, was to double, triple my batch size for some wholesale accounts that I have coming up. So I was super excited about that. So I figured I might as well just keep showing you what I was doing. So the next step that I do for my bars is I plane them. And this is a planer that I got off of an Etsy shop. I really like it. Sometimes I have to like stop and clean the tops when I plane too early in the curing process like I did, but I was so excited to see what they were going to look like that I went ahead and got them planed down. But I love using this planer that makes the bars feel so smooth on the sides. So I had went this far, I figured I would just show you the rest of the process. Those are what the slivers look like from the planing. Very tiny pieces, so you don't have much waste. And then I use my handy dandy potato peeler and just go around each of the bars and bubble the edges. And that just helps them have like a more finished look, in my opinion, for these types of soaps. It fits the aesthetic. And then I kept going. I got my little reused piece of saran wrap. You can reuse and reuse the saran wrap multiple times, but I use the saran wrap to lay down on my soap. And then I get my soap stamp and give it a push, and there you go. Now I have the nice little LHS for Lake House Soapery imprinted on the bars. So, yep, I'm just going to keep going, and the next step is for me to package my soaps. I don't normally package them this early, but again, I was super excited. I want to make sure that the size that I had cut the bars down to worked for my packages that I make, and I do soap bags with each of mine. And this is a stock soap for me, so I already have them designed and ready to go. So I went ahead and got the bag folded and grabbed some twine. I used twine from the Dollar Tree and cut that down. And that is what I use to secure the top of the bag with. I don't know where I went. Who knows what I'm doing? Oh, there. Okay. So I must have went to, I don't know. Anyway, I grabbed the twine and I just tie it in a nice little bow at the top of it. I think the packaging looks really natural for my theme. And on the bottom of the package, I typically will put the cure date on there. So that's what I was showing there. And here's the finished product all packaged and stamped. I thought maybe you would enjoy seeing a just a picture of how everything turned out, a little bit of a close-up. So I really hope you guys enjoyed watching the process from start to finish and getting a look at my new mold. My dad actually has made mold for two other soapers, and they have loved them. and he is willing to work with people to do custom mold sizes. So if you're interested, message me and I'll get you hooked up, and you too can have a Big John mold. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to everybody soon. Bye.